maybe that huge jump may have caused some of this die off, right? Like we passed like flatworms. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, Reef RX. I wanted to bring you guys an update on the water box with the semi-crash I got going on right now. I did get the ICP results in, so we'll review those together. But real quick, just want to give a shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for all the comments on the last video and the advice and thoughts of what was going on with the tank. I really looked at all the feedback that you guys provided and kind of went through everything and did some rethinking of what may be going on. If you guys enjoy the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Quick fact for you guys, only 10% of you that watch my videos are subscribed, so let's change that. All right, let's jump into it. So let me show you how things are doing before we kind of get into some of the facts here. So some of the corals might look a tiny bit better, and when I say tiny bit, I mean just that. Like if you look at this blasto here, it's a little more filled in than last time. The blasto behind it, no effect at all, and then the blastos I have over here, no issue with these either. The plate coral, I guess you could say it's a little happier than what it looked like before. Frog spawn is looking okay, seems to be doing good. Then the frog spawn really hasn't looked too bad. Kind of on the bottom, and it's kind of hard to tell. Whoops, sorry. It's kind of hard to tell on the bottom here, but things a little shrunk up down there, but nothing too crazy. What else we got? So unfortunately, that bird's nest I had here, it's a lot of it died off, and as you can see how white it is. Some in the back there is doing okay, and then I did a big water change. I think I don't remember if it was the day I posted that last video or if it was the day before. I think it was the day. I had just done a big water change, right? Because I didn't really know what was going on. I sent the ICP results in Monday because I saw like this plate coral wasn't looking too happy. So then I did a big water change, and everything had been stable since then. However, today I just noticed, and I don't know if this happened today or if I just noticed it today, but this bird's nest here, not looking good. Quite a bit of die off down there. So kind of the same thing that's going on with this bird's nest over there, like just the tips are really showing good. Everything else is doing okay. This bird's nest here though, I can probably like justify that with the torches maybe being too close. These torches and stuff are what's for my other tank, the new tank I got going on. So and then that hammer coral in the back, that's never been happy. I thought I had too much, it's been going on for months, right? So I thought it was too much light, too much flow. I've moved it all around the tank. It just has not been happy ever since. So let's talk about some of the comments you guys left in the last video of what your thoughts were, what was going on, and kind of talk about some of the results. So a lot of you guys had mentioned that the nutrients were nearly stripped out of my tank, because I think I said my phosphate was 0.02 and my nitrate was like 1.5 or 2 or something. They were low. So, and I'm not taking away from that idea. That's a very strong possibility. However, what I will say to that, I had run my nutrients that low for a long time. Like I'm talking months, and that's how it's been. It's been stable. Things have been happy. I feed a lot. I make my own fish food. It's very high nutrient fish food. It has a lot of phosphates, shoots up the phosphates, which is why I have so much going on with the in the sump to remove phosphates and stuff. So not taking away from that idea, definitely a possibility, but it's, I guess you could say it's a little bit harder for me to buy that, only because my tank has been stable at those numbers for a very long time with no issues. Doesn't mean things can change over time, right? All of a sudden, maybe the corals just decided, screw it, we're not happy, we're dying. I don't know. Some other feedback, I had someone leave a comment today about the pH. My pH is pretty high. I have a recirculating skimmer over here. I don't want to say pretty high. It's pretty good. It's between 8 and 8.3 is where I average my pH, so that's good. I think the first thing I did, and I don't know if I talked about this in my last video, one of the first things I did when I saw things were off is I checked my temperature to make sure, like I have a handle checker temperature, and I made sure that it was in sync with like what the Neptune was showing and the Inkbird I have, just to make sure those weren't off, because sometimes that's an easy go-to. Did the basic stuff, right? Check salinity, just the real basic stuff. So after I shot the video, the next morning, when after so many of you guys said like you thought it was related to phosphates and stuff like that, so I retested the phosphates. Phosphates were 0.12, so huge jump of 0.1 since I had tested previously. Why is that? Now that's a great question. I think maybe that huge jump may have caused some of this die-off, right? Like we don't like to see big changes in reef tanks, especially overnight and stuff like that. I had just changed out my GFO media a week prior. I think I reduced the schedule once I changed it out because I'm pretty sure the GFO I had in there was depleted. So I think I reduced the schedule just a tad. Maybe that was too much. And I think I even reduced the refugium light because the phosphates were so low, like at 0.02. So that's one possibility. That's kind of what I lean towards a lot. That makes me think that could be it. Other possibilities, other comments, some of you guys have commented like maybe some bacteria stuff going on. Definitely a possibility. I've had some like reddish brown slime in my sump and like low flow areas of my sump, but I think that's pretty common, but I'm not 100% sure. And we're going to get into that in just a bit with the ICP test, because I think some of those results might be shocking to you. And then some of you guys said pests like flatworms. I don't see any flatworms in here. Doesn't mean they don't exist, but I don't think that the die-off overnight would be caused by flatworms or a pest. I did introduce these new corals to my tank kind of shortly before the issue started, so it's definitely a possibility, but I don't see anything. So having said all that, I'm going to show you the ICP results. I kind of want your thoughts now after all that information. What do you think it is? So let's take a look at these results. All right, so the first thing we're looking at here is heavy unwanted metals. So everything is good. Aluminum is slightly elevated. When I say slightly, you can see it right there in the graph at the top, just slightly. However, I can tell you I have had much higher levels of aluminum in my tank and nothing like this has ever happened. So I don't think that's going to be what's causing this. So heavy metals look good. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. So then we get into macro elements. Sodium is a bit low. Potassium is pretty low. If you look at this, you can see it's kind of in the orangish reddish area of low in the tank. So I definitely need to dose some potassium. I will need to take into consideration the water change I did after I sent in this test result to kind of not dose the recommended amount. So that'll need to be taken into consideration. That might, I don't know enough about potassium, right? So that might possibly be what caused some of these corals to be unhappy. I'm hoping some of the experts watching this video can kind of chime in on this. Do you think the potassium is what caused the die-off? Everything else here looks okay. So then we get to the next group here. So we have the lithium group. So lithium was slightly elevated, still in the somewhat greenish zone. And then if we look at the bottom here, iodine is pretty low in this tank. So iodine's been something that's always been pretty low in my tank, and I dose that separate from the Tropic Marin Ultra Reef. And I dose 0.7 mLs a day. The recommended dosage here, based off of these levels, were 0.3, so I'm going to bump it up to 1 ml a day. And that's option 2, right? Do you think the iodine was too low to cause the die-off? Or do you think the iodine and the potassium were both too low and that kind of caused some of these corals to die off? And then we get into a couple other groups here where these numbers are all good. Barium slightly off, but not too far. And the next one is the one that jumps off the chart. Silicone, extremely high, literally off the chart. I've had silicone in my tank before from my RODI unit. The DI resin was not depleted based off of the color changing media. However, I did some studying and saw that silicone can leach from the DI resin even though it doesn't appear completely depleted. So I change that out more often now. Usually when it's at 33% depleted, I'll change out my DI resin. Do you think this caused the die-off is another question. I don't have visible algae in the tank or diatoms or anything like that. From some research I've done, it doesn't appear that this would cause a die-off. However, these numbers seem pretty elevated, so I don't know. And then the phosphate, this is showing it's 0.028, so it's almost 0.03. So as we discussed earlier, that's a bit low. So that's the ICP results for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the sump because I know a lot of you like looking at the sump. And you know what's weird real quick before we go down to the sump? Like some of these corals look better than ever, and it's just crazy. Like this frog spawn that we're looking at right here, this is almost, I don't want to say quadruple, but it's like it doubled in size overnight it seems. And then this candy cane here, really looking good, like almost better than ever. And then some of these zoas too, like just really look good, better than ever, especially on my zoa, my frag rack on the back there. So it's weird how we got die off of some things, but then some things are looking better than ever. Like it's just bizarre. I don't know. Let's take a look at the sump. You know, the one thing I forgot to mention to you, so I just retested all my levels today. So my my phosphate was at 0.08. So it's higher than before. So it's good. Nitrates were pretty low. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, I want the skimmer for the, to bring up the pH, right? So I don't want to shut the skimmer off. However, I'm going to take this drain line and just let it flow back into the tank. So I'm not really taking nitrates out of the tank because I kind of need them in the tank. So I think low nitrates definitely is a cause for some of this stuff. But yeah, so some's doing good, like Red Sea Reef Matt, as always, pulling stuff out of there, doing great. Love this. Neptune grow light, Cato grows like crazy. That's about it for the sump. So nothing new I've done since the last video. All right, guys, that's going to be it for now. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what's going on after we've reviewed all these test results. Hopefully some of you experts out there have some good answers. And if you still think it's due to the nutrients being too low, let me know. Gonna keep the phosphate where it is, 0.08 probably, and gonna work on bringing up the nitrates a bit. So again, really appreciate all the support from all of you, all the feedback. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and we will catch up soon. Hopefully when we do catch up, the tank's looking a little better. Take care, guys.